Hello everyone, I am Dr. Donald Ozello of Championship Chiropractic in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am the author of Running, Maximize Performance, and Minimize Injuries. Welcome to today's episode of Dr. Ozello's Sports Medicine Report. Thank you for viewing today's episode. Please feel free to go to my website, championshipchiropractic.com, where you can get additional information on the book, and you can also connect with me on other social media platforms. Please enjoy this sports medicine video. In today's episode of Dr. Ozello's Sports Medicine Report, I'm going to be going over rotator cuff strengthening exercises. So it's going to be a little bit different than usual. I'm not going to speak about one specific condition, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about the rotator cuff and how to strengthen that area to help to prevent injuries and help to improve performance. The rotator cuff is part of the shoulder. The shoulder is a very complex structure. It consists of many bones, a large number of muscles, and many joints. It allows us that great range of motion that we have in the shoulder. Rotator cuff injuries are extremely common. Shoulder injuries are extremely common. There is a great deal involved. That's why it's called the shoulder complex. There's a great deal involved with the shoulder, so we want to make sure the entire area is strong. The way that we are built as humans, we do everything in the front. So these muscles in the front often get stronger than the muscles in the back, and they start to overpower the muscles in the back, and they start to pull us into a bad posture, and they start to inhibit proper motion of the posterior muscles or the muscles in the back. So the exercise I'm going to go over, it's done in two different fashions. I call this exercise the reverse pitch because it is basically a reverse throwing motion. Now, it not only strengthens the rotator cuff, but it helps to strengthen the posterior aspect of the deltoid, and it helps to strengthen the scapular retractor muscles. The scapular retractors are a group of 4 muscles that pull the shoulder blades back towards the spine. So we're going to strengthen this entire area with the reverse pitch exercise. Before we start the exercise, I'm going to give you an anatomy lesson on the rotator cuff. First of all, it's called the rotator cuff. A lot of folks will say it incorrectly. They'll call it the rotary cuff or the rotator cuff. It is the rotator cuff. So I want to make that clear to everybody. It's an easy phrase or easy name to misinterpret and to say incorrectly. So I want to make sure everyone knows exactly how to say it, the rotator cuff. The rotator cuff is a group of 4 muscles that attach the shoulder blade to the upper arm bone. In medical terminology, the shoulder blade is named the scapula. In medical terminology, the upper arm bone is named the humerus. So basically, these are 4 muscles, the rotator cuff muscles, attach the scapula to the humerus. Like I said, there's 4 muscles. There's 3 of them that are located in the back part of the scapula, and there's one that's located in the front part of the scapula. The ones that are located in the back part of the scapula are the supraspinatus. That's the very top one. That is located above this ridge in the scapula. And then the next one down, right below the ridge, is named the infraspinatus. And then the lowest one in the back part is called the teres minor. The muscle that's located in the front part of the scapula, or that originates in the front part of the scapula, is named the subscapularis. So again, there's 4 muscles in the rotator cuff. It is the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, the teres minor, and the subscapularis. The muscles that attach they originate in the back, they come around and they attach to the humerus in the top and in the back part. The subscapularis, which originates in the anterior or the front part of the scapula, that attaches to the front part of the shoulder. Not the shoulder blade. It originates in the front part of the shoulder blade, and then attaches to the front part of the humerus. These muscles function as a group. The rotator cuff muscles function as a group. In most cases, they are being used in a negative fashion, or in medical terminology, what is called the eccentric fashion, meaning that they are working to control the forward motion of the arm. these muscles, when we throw, we're up like this and we come back and we throw. So all these muscles in the front, they are pulling the arm forward. And the rotator cuff muscles, the ones in the back, have to control that motion. It puts a great deal of stress on those muscles. Most exercises do not hit the rotator cuff muscles in a concentric fashion. There's very little motions that we do in life where we're pulling our shoulder blades back like this and we're using our scapular retractor muscles, our posterior deltoid, and the three muscles in the posterior aspect of the rotator cuff. So that's why I created the reverse pitch exercise. Because when we are throwing, we're up here and we throw downward, or the arm comes down when we throw. All these muscles in the front contract very hard. The muscles in the back have to contract eccentrically to control that motion. And again, it puts a great deal of demand on those muscles. And if those muscles are weak, that is a precursor to having a rotator cuff injury or other injuries in the shoulder complex. The reverse pitch is a learned motion. It's not a motion that we do all the time, so you want to make sure your technique is flawless. The best way to learn this technique is to practice it in a kneeling position. There are two body positions that you could use when you're doing the reverse pitch. One is the kneeling position, one is a standing position. I like to have people learn it in the kneeling position because it's a lot easier that way. The reverse pitch has 3 different steps, so you want to learn each step and then combine it into one smooth motion. But your technique has to be flawless. You want to make sure that you are targeting these muscles correctly, because if you're not doing the exercise correctly, all it's going to do is end up having you injured, or it's going to just make your condition worse. So we want to make sure that you understand exactly how to do this technique. So practice it in 3 individual steps. Do not use any weight or any resistance in the very beginning. In a kneeling position, you're going to be on a sturdy structure, like right now I'm using a chiropractic table. You're going to have the non-working side placed firmly on the table, and then you can place your palm or your fist on the table. You want to make sure that your spine is fairly straight, and you want to make sure that your neck is in line with the spine. You do not want to have the neck flex downwards or flex backwards. You don't want to have the spine bent upwards or downwards. You want to have the spine as straight as you possibly can. And you want to make sure that you are not too close to the edge, because you don't want to take a chance on falling down. So get yourself positioned securely on the table. In the starting position, like I said, the spine is straight, the neck is in line with the spine. Let the arm hang down as low as you possibly can. This is your starting position. From here, the first step is to retract the scapula. So you pull the shoulder blade back towards the spine. You do not shrug the shoulder, you just pull the shoulder blade so the inside lower border of that shoulder blade goes as close to the spine as possibly can. The next step, you pull the arm back while you're bending the elbow. Pull the arm backwards as far as you can. You want to have the upper arm at least parallel to the floor. If you could bring it up higher, that's great. That's the second step. And then the third step is external rotation of the shoulder. So you're turning that shoulder. So then we do the steps in reverse. The reverse pitch is a concentric exercise. Remember, the first step is to retract the shoulder blades and bring the arm up, and then externally rotate the shoulder. When you are lowering the arm, do the steps in reverse and control that. So you're controlling the eccentric portion of the exercise. So step 1, step 2, and step 3. Work in the steps until you've mastered the exercise. Once you've mastered it, then you can do it in one fluid motion. Do the exercise slow. You do it in a very precise and controlled manner. Technique is the most important thing. Just like any other type of exercise, work through a pain-free range of motion. The reverse pitch is going to help to strengthen the rotator cuff, the posterior deltoid, and the scapula retractors. It's an excellent exercise. It's going to help to strengthen the entire posterior shoulder. It is going to help to build coordination. It's going to help to balance the strength in the shoulder. Because like I mentioned before, many times there's strength and balance where the muscles in the front are stronger than the muscles in the back. So when we're strengthening the muscles in the back, it's going to help to defeat that strength and balance. And you combine that with stretching of the chest muscles and the rib cage muscles, and it will help you a great deal to improve your posture and to improve your shoulder function. Once you have mastered this exercise, first of all, you want to start with one set. Always work both sides. Build up to 15 repetitions. If you can only do 3, then start with 3 and slowly build to 15. Once you can do 15 repetitions on each side, then increase it to 2 sets and then 3 sets. The reverse pitch should always be done after you finish training. You don't want to weaken these muscles before you go and do any other type of training. You want to make sure that these muscles are very strong, but you don't want to fatigue them and risk an injury before you go and do any other type of training. So this should always be one of your closing exercises. If you are at the gym, if you're working out, if you're rehabilitating an injury, then yes, you can do this in the beginning of your training. But you want to build up to this exercise too. This is not a beginning or a rehabilitation exercise for a beginner. You want to start at your current level and then build up to the reverse pitch. The standing version of the reverse pitch is performed the same way as the kneeling version. You always want to start with no resistance, and then you can build up to using a resistance band or a cable. You want to stand in good posture, make sure your spine is straight. You don't want your hips deviating to either side. You want to make sure that your neck is in line with the spine. You don't want the head tilted to either side. You don't want the head moving forward or turned to either side. So you want to be in good posture. Now I'm going to be demonstrating with the right hand. So what we want to do is, first of all, back to the good posture. Stand with your knees or your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Bend your knees just a touch. You don't want to have the knees locked. If you're working the right hand, start with the right hand in front of the left thigh. So we're in this position. If we were working the left hand, we'd be over here. So we start with the right hand in front of the left thigh. And the reason for that is because when we throw, we're throwing and the hand ends up in front of the opposite thigh. So here's your starting position. If you are using a resistance or a cable, the band should be connected to a very low point in front of the left thigh. So the first part of the motion, the first step, is going to be that scapular retraction. So you can do both shoulders. It's a little bit easier when you're standing. Do both shoulders, pull the shoulder back, and then do the external rotation. The arm should be parallel, the upper arm should be parallel to the floor. And then reverse the steps. So 1, 2, 3. And then work the steps in reverse, control it the whole way. First step, retract the shoulder blades. Second step, pull the shoulder backwards, and then external rotation. Control the eccentric portion of the exercise. Again, start with one set, work both sides, build up to 15 repetitions. Your technique needs to be flawless. Technique is the most important aspect of this exercise. When you're doing this exercise, you don't want to shrug the shoulders. When you're pulling the shoulder blade backwards, pull the lower corner of those shoulder blades together. And then step 2, and then the external rotation. So again, pull the shoulder blades together. Bring the arm up, and then external rotation. Technique needs to be perfect. This is going to help to build strength in the entire chain. It's going to work the muscles in the back that control the scapular motion. It's going to work the posterior aspect of the deltoid, and it's going to work the rotator cuff muscles. Learn this exercise. Use this exercise at the end of your workout. Start with 1 set. Build up to 15 repetitions on that set. Once you have mastered that first set, then you could use a little bit of resistance, and you can also increase it to 2 sets or 3 sets. Always work both sides. This is a great preventative exercise. Poor posture and a strength and balance, poor posture in the shoulder, weakness in the back part of the shoulder, that can lead to rotator cuff tendonitis, tendinopathy, shoulder impingement syndrome, bicipital tendinopathy. It can lead to several different conditions. It can also lead to a traumatic shoulder injury because of the strength and balance, because there's an excessive amount of pull on these muscles. And if you are doing something, that can cause those areas to become injured. So we want to make sure that you understand how to do the reverse pitch. You do it very well. You learn the motion. That's why I had you do it kneeling first. That's why I demonstrated the kneeling position first. This is a learned motion. This is a complex motion in a complex area. So we need to make sure that our technique is flawless. The reverse pitch is a fantastic exercise. Do yourself a big favor. Prevent shoulder injuries. Balance the strength in your shoulder, and use the reverse pitch if you need to rehabilitate a shoulder injury. I am Dr. Donald Ozello of Championship Chiropractic in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am the author of Running, Maximize Performance, and Minimize Injuries. Thank you for viewing today's episode of Dr. Ozello's Sports Medicine Report. Always, always, always remember, train hard, train smart, stay injury-free, and accomplish your goals.